Good morning, Steelers fans. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and welcome into Steelers Talk. Woke up to some Aaron Rodgers updates here that I wanted to share with you guys. And of course, it's starting to sound like the Rodgers situation could finally be coming to a close within the next couple of hours, if not just the next couple of days. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now, because whenever Aaron Rodgers makes his decision, whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it's the New York Giants, whether it's retirement, whether it's to wait for a better team to come available, we will have a breaking news live show on this channel in the studio. I'm about to head into the studio right now, but I wanted to get a quick video out to you guys before I head out, because this is a pretty darn big update. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for more updates as they come on Aaron Rodgers. So we got a new report today from Tom Pelissero, and this should be a big domino that starts putting some things in motion, which is that the Minnesota Vikings have informed Aaron Rodgers that they will not be pursuing him at this point in time. Now, it's been heavily speculated that Rodgers, the reason why he's kind of taking his time and not he hasn't come to a decision yet, because he was waiting for the Minnesota Vikings to give him a firm yes or no answer to whether or not they were going to pursue him in NFL free agency this year. And it makes sense that Rodgers would potentially wait for them, because Minnesota has an excellent roster. They went 14-3 last year, and they had an excellent free agency as well. They got guys like Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave to beef up their interior defensive line. They already had Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, two really good edge rushers. Then they added a couple really good offensive linemen this year as well. That Ryan Kelly, the center, and Will Fries, the offensive guard. So their offensive line is the best that it's been in a very long time. Their defensive line is the best it's been in a very long time. Of course, they got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Kevin O'Connell's the reigning coach of the year, one of the best offensive play callers in football. I mean, if I were Aaron Rodgers, I would want to go to the Minnesota Vikings, all right? So, I can kind of see why Rodgers maybe, wanted to kind of wait around, maybe see what the Minnesota Vikings were going to do. But now, according to Tom Pelissero, the Vikings have officially let Aaron Rodgers know that he is not going to be going to the Minnesota Vikings, at least not right now. Depending on which report you believe, some people are saying the Vikings could still be in on Rodgers, but just not at this time, because, depending on how J.J. McCarthy's rehab goes, if it doesn't go well in the spring, potentially they could turn to Rodgers later on down the road. But right now, they are not pursuing Aaron Rodgers, and they are moving forward with J.J. McCarthy as their franchise quarterback of the future, which, if Rodgers wants to sign a contract within the next couple of days or weeks, it's looking like it's going to have to be either the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New York Football Giants, both of which have already offered him contracts. And according to Pelissero this morning on NFL Network, he said that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had an ongoing dialogue with Rodgers and his agent, and it has involved multiple members of the Steelers organization. So it's very clear that the Pittsburgh Steelers are putting out all the stops to try and get Aaron Rodgers in their building. And when you analyze this decision, guys, between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants, I don't think that there's zero reasons why he would pick the Giants. It's been reported that they have offered him more money than the Steelers have. It's been reported that maybe Aaron Rodgers wants to stay in East Rutherford. He likes it there. He likes the area. Of course, he's got a place to live in Jersey, so it'd be kind of the easier transition, especially if he's only looking to play one more season. It kind of makes sense to not uproot your entire life and go to a different city just to play one year. But let's face it, guys, this is Aaron Rodgers. He has more money than God. He can absolutely relocate his life for a season or two to go play for a team that he feels has the better chance at winning. And I think when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and where they currently sit versus the New York Football Giants and where they currently sit, I just think that the Pittsburgh Steelers clearly make the most sense for Aaron Rodgers. The reasons for that: number one, I think Rodgers does want to play 2 more seasons. I think he wants a 2-year contract. Now, Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette has said that the Steelers have only offered him a 1-year contract, but we know Dulac's wrong all the time, all right? I feel like, the Steelers, it's very possible that they sign Aaron Rodgers to a 2-year deal if they do end up signing him. Rodgers has talked about potentially playing 2 more seasons, and according to some reports, he is looking for a 2-year deal. So if he comes to Pittsburgh, I think that he has more of a chance to play those 2 seasons with the New York Giants. They have the number 3 overall pick. If Shedeur Sanders falls to them at number 3, my guess is they'll probably take him, and he is going to be the presumptive franchise quarterback of the future, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on Rodgers to perform for the New York Giants, to hold off Shedeur Sanders for the entirety of that 2-year contract that he could potentially sign with the Giants. But with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he'd be the guy. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers don't pick until pick number 21. It's not a great quarterback class. If the Steelers bring in Rodgers, I don't think the Steelers are going to take a quarterback until at least round 4, maybe even round 5, and maybe they won't even take a quarterback in this year's NFL draft. All right, so if he goes to Pittsburgh, he can have a really clear 2-year window to try and win a Super Bowl here in Pittsburgh. And Rodgers' kind of timeline here fits up perfectly with what the Steelers' timeline is. The Pittsburgh Steelers' timeline is 2 seasons, because in 2 years, Cam Hayward is set to retire. And, Aaron Rodgers says that he wants to play 2 more seasons. So if that's the case, that kind of lines up perfectly. And I think that, with the Pittsburgh Steelers trying to win a Super Bowl before Cam Hayward ends up retiring, I think out of the choices that are still available at the Pittsburgh Steelers' disposal, the best possible chance at winning a Super Bowl is to go with Aaron Rodgers, who played better than people kind of think that he played last year because of a crumbling organization that surrounded him last year with the New York Jets. They didn't really have much of a run game. It was, let me tell you, man, as somebody that has watched every single snap of film from last season from Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets, I can tell you this right now, guys, like that was the worst designed offense in the National Football League. There was no plan on a week-to-week basis. There was no identity to that offense, and Aaron Rodgers suffered the consequences of that. And even despite that, put up better numbers than a lot of quarterbacks in this league, and I think that he would be an upgrade over Russell Wilson for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I've discussed ad nauseum on this channel that I'd be okay with Russell Wilson coming back here to Pittsburgh, but I've also said that I think Rodgers is an upgrade at the position compared to what Russ gave this team last year, because he gets the ball out faster, and as a result, he takes less sacks, and he's a better post-snap processor because of his superior size, and I think he's just a better overall mental processor. At this point in their careers, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, they got to play what I like to call Brady ball. And the way that Tom Brady played the game his entire career is he won from the pocket, he got the ball out fast, he didn't take sacks, he protected the football, and he played efficiently. I think right now Aaron Rodgers is more suited to play that style of quarterback, and that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for out of their quarterback right now, guys. Mike Tomlin isn't looking for a savior. He's not looking to add a superstar level player. He's looking to add somebody that's an efficient player, that doesn't turn the football over, that has a good deep ball, that has a high-level football mind and can execute an NFL offense at a high level. And, you can say what you want about Aaron Rodgers, but he is still more than capable of operating that style of offense, especially if the Steelers cash in on drafting the right running back this year, especially if this offensive line that's very young but unproven but talented at the same time is able to develop heading into next season. And I think that DK Metcalf and George Pickens, with their ability to be downfield threats, I think would be a perfect fit with Aaron Rodgers, who loves to throw the deep ball down the sideline. So I think that Aaron Rodgers is an excellent fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in terms of the choice between the Steelers and Giants, it's like, you compare the offensive weaponry that the Steelers have versus the Giants, and to me, it's not close. Sure, you got Brian Daboll, an offensive-minded head coach there in New York, but here in Pittsburgh, you've got DK Metcalf and George Pickens, two of some of the most talented wide receivers in all of football. Not to mention, you got Calvin Austin III, who really showed some good things last year. Roman Wilson, who reminds me a lot of Randall Cobb, somebody that was one of Aaron Rodgers' most favorite targets throughout his career. With the New York Giants, you got Malik Neighbors, but then after that, who else do you really have? You got Darius Slayton, Theo Johnson, an unproven tight end. You got Tyrone Tracy at running back. I think that the Giants have potential, but I think that the Steelers, coming off a 10-win season and a playoff berth, despite one of the most lackluster wide receiver rooms in the league, one of the worst run games, the offensive line was not playing particularly well. Look, we all know that the Steelers had a pretty decent football team last year, but then, they need that piece to kind of get them over the top. They ended up getting DK Metcalf. It sounds like they're going to be drafting a new number 1 running back in the draft this year. And, of course, they bring in guys like Darius Slay. It certainly seems like they're going to draft a defensive tackle in the draft as well. And, of course, the Steelers have Mike Tomlin, one of Aaron Rodgers' most respected people in the entire league. And I think that you look at this situation right now, guys, I think that, the Steelers make the most sense for Aaron Rodgers, and I think Aaron Rodgers makes the most sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now that the roadblock of the Minnesota Vikings is out of the way, I really do think, guys, that this is going to move somewhat quickly. And, my prediction here is that by the end of the day on Thursday, so by tomorrow, I think that we're going to have a decision from Aaron Rodgers, and I think it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think that now that the Vikings are out of the equation, guys, the longer we go without a decision from Rodgers, the more likely retirement becomes, and the more likely him just not choosing a team and hoping for a legit Super Bowl favorite to have their quarterback go down in training camp. Like, that is certainly a possibility for Aaron Rodgers as well, to wait this thing out, hope that JJ McCarthy's rehab doesn't go well this spring. All those different things are possibilities, but it certainly seems like with the report from Pelissero that Rodgers is having an ongoing conversation and dialogue with the Steelers and their personnel, along with his agent, tells me that he is interested in being a Pittsburgh Steeler, especially if the Minnesota Vikings take their hat out of the ring. So I would expect things to accelerate quite quickly here, and my prediction here is that Aaron Rodgers will be the new starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers by the end of the day tomorrow, and it could happen at any time, guys. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And until next time, go Steelers. Here we go, Steelers. I will see you guys with a video in studio later today.